Well, good afternoon, everybody. We felt it was very important to have this press conference based on the gravity of the violence that our community suffered this past Sunday. Deputy Chief Amandra and I were talking. It's been some time that we've had 5 shootings and 3 deaths the way we experienced Sunday. So we just want to bring forth all the facts that we know, dispel any rumors in the community, and give the community as much knowledge of the events that we have. First of all, you know that Sunday, Fort Pierce Police Department had a call on 810 Boston Avenue of shots fired. When they arrived, they found the victim, Keith Lewis Roberts, 58, had been shot within the 800 block of Boston Avenue. He's the first individual on the left whose picture is up there. Exactly 30 minutes later, we responded, the sheriff's office responded to the area of 39th Street and Avenue F of shots fired and possibly 2 victims lying on the ground on Avenue F. In fact, when our deputies arrived, they found Shane Patrick Streeter, 27, lying dead in the road from a single gunshot wound to his head. And there was a injured person by the name of Justin Rivera, age 22, laying next to him, and those are the 2 subsequent pictures that you see there. A description of the vehicle as well as the shooter was shared with our detectives. That description came from a 12-year-old witness on scene. He described a black 4-door pickup, which he thought was a Ford, and he described a black male with dreads wearing a white tank top t-shirt as the shooter. One of the actual eyewitnesses, or actually one of our victims, Justin Rivera, again confirmed it was a black 4-door pickup truck, as well as a black male as the suspect shooter. And our detectives were able to retrieve that information before he lost consciousness. Last night at approximately 7:15, a resident within the 1400 block of North 45th Street reported a black pickup truck in an adjacent driveway of his house. That house was vacant, and the truck had been there from approximately 11 o'clock in the morning until the time that he called us at 7:15 last evening. Deputies responded and found what you see there in the picture, a black Toyota pickup truck in the driveway of a vacant home. The brake lights were still on the vehicle, and as they approached the vehicle, they could see that there was a black male with dreads, a white tank top t-shirt, who had shot himself in the head. The gun that is represented in the picture below was actually lying in his lap, and that person was Adam Peavy. He lives at 3505 North Avenue N, and like I said, the recovery of him and his pickup with the gun inside was at 1405 North 45th Street. After making positive identification of Adam Peavy, detectives responded to his home at 3305 Avenue N to notify his next of kin. There they found the garage door open and no response to the front door. They went ahead and entered the house and found Mr. Roy Peavy, who is Adam's father, deceased in the bedroom as a result of a gunshot wound to his head. We do not know exactly when that occurred, but we're assuming it happened before the initial shots that were fired on Boston Avenue. Just moments ago, our crime lab has confirmed that the casings found at all 3 shooting scenes matched the same casings that were found in the black pickup truck. Also, the bullets that were found in the gun that was recovered in the black pickup truck. We know that Adam Peavy is survived by his mother, 2 brothers, and a sister, who currently continue to reside in our community. And these tragic events this weekend, not only are there many victims, but our community is a victim to all this violence. And we are asking our community for help in this case. And that help should include anyone that had contact with Adam Peavy before this weekend's events, anybody that had any dialogue with him through emails, text messages, or a conversation. We want to know about that. And if you knew his whereabouts before the events of Sunday, we would like to know that also. So with that, we're here to answer any questions you have that we might have not already covered. But again, our community is hurting over these events, and we wanted to make sure we shared all this information with them.
Any note, give any indication on why something like this happened?
There was no note in the house. He does have an iPhone. No, there was nothing on that either. His father's. He actually had his father's phone in the pickup truck with him. We thought he might have wrote something on that, but that was not the case.
Was that his father's pickup truck?
Yes.
Who's the owner of the gun?
That we haven't determined yet.
And just to clarify, you said that the shell casings matched at all of them from the father to the Boston Avenue to the last one?
Excluding the Boston Avenue one, I don't think we've pinpointed that one yet. They actually haven't brought the casings over yet, but they have matched the Avenue J, 39th Street, the Avenue NK incident where he shot his father, and the bullet to himself. So those three venues.
And the brand and caliber of Fort Pierce is the same?
Yes, the brand and caliber is exactly the same as the Fort Pierce incident.
I'm
So,
glad you ought to bring this to a conclusion after yesterday's. I mean, I guess the community was in terror, if you will.
you know, Greg, you and I talked off camera yesterday about this, and in fact, emotions were high. A lot of people didn't know how this was occurring, especially the random acts of this. A shooting on Boston Avenue, then two young men walking on Avenue J, how and why. You know, we're going to get into the background of Mr. Peavy. We're going to find out, we hope to find out exactly what he was thinking, maybe what precipitating factor in his life led up to this decision to wreak havoc in our community yesterday.
So right now, you don't know if Adam Peavy had any connection with the three gentlemen all the way to the left. You don't know if they
Mr. Roberts? No.
Yes, yeah, the three from Boston on.
No, the two, let me just come on over here and explain.
Yeah, I was just referring to.
This gentleman here is the Boston
Right,
Avenue victim.
correct.
These two are Avenue J.
And what I guess my question is, so at this time, you don't know if Adam Peavy
Maybe
knew
Did
these
he know
gentlemen?
any of those three?
Yeah.
He did not know any of these three. The casings match this shooting, and his self-inflicted gunshot wound. We're assuming they also match this because it's the same caliber of make.
Sheriff, you were talking about emotions were high. You know, we had heard some rumblings that this might have been racially motivated. You have an African-American shooter, 3 Caucasian victims. Anything to substantiate that at all?
Not at this time. You know, community leaders ask for calmness, and we're asking the same thing. We want our community to be calm. Putting these facts forward, we want everyone just to remain calm. Let us get our facts in order as to what mental state Mr. Peavy was in when he committed these crimes.
So it doesn't look like this is this was not any gang initiation or anything like that, so far as you know? Or?
We have no evidence to support that, John.
Sheriff, are you checking on the weapon for any other cases? that are
Yes.
involved?
Yes, and that's part of the long-term investigation that all of our detectives will be working with. And let me tell you, we're working hand in hand with Fort Pierce Police Department on this case, because if in fact Adam Peavy committed these crimes Sunday to this magnitude, there is a possibility that that weapon and he could be related to other shootings that we've experienced throughout the city.
This is the third consecutive weekend of violence in the county. I mean, obviously, you've been sheriff for a long time. Have you seen anything like this before, and what's your take on it?
We just talked about that. We've never seen anything like this. There are some initiatives that are currently being started. I know my Chief Deputy Gary Wilson met with the African American Ministerial Group last Wednesday, was it, Chief?
Last Thursday.
Last Thursday. They are planning some things. I've been in constant contact with Representative Larry Lee. He wants to initiate some things right away. So we're going to, if it takes going door to door in our community to try to put a stop to this, that's what we're going to do.
Because you said you've not seen anything like this. I mean, usually the summertime, you'll
Sure.
see an increase, people out,
Mhm.
nothing to do, but this is unprecedented in your,
That is correct.
Are there any other rumors that you want to dispel today? We heard.
I haven't heard any other. Do you know some? Go ahead and let it out, Angela. Do
No,
you
I
know?
heard you mention.
Okay,
I'm
no.
sure I didn't miss it.
Nothing. Definitely want to hit on the game. This is not.
Yeah, of course, there's rumors that this could have been gang initiation, which someone already mentioned, that this was one gang and against another gang. Those rumors are false.
so from your guys' understanding and investigation, he acted alone, this was sort of a one-man crime
Spree.
spree, if you
That
will.
is correct. And we talked, what kind of state of mind was he in to kill his own father Sunday, then go on this killing spree, shooting spree, and then take his own life? I mean, we're dealing with someone that was definitely unstable at the time.
Do you have any recent charts or how many shootings have been in the county/city in the last week?
We can probably get that for you, but I don't have it here. Also, our detectives, they're waiting for the autopsy, and what's going to be very important is those toxicology reports from our autopsy. Most recently, Adam Peavy was arrested for having Molly, which is a very strong narcotic, right, and produces hallucinations and everything. So we want to make sure that that was or was not in a system that might have precipitated yesterday's actions.
You had said yesterday, Sheriff, that Keith Roberts was probably going to be paralyzed. Is that still the case?
That is still the case.
So he was just an innocent guy walking down the street, and now he's...
Mhm.
And Mr. Rivera, how is he doing right now, so far as you know?
Now, the latest update that we have is that he actually took a turn for the worse today and is actually returned to surgery, but he's in critical condition
How many times was he shot, sir?
3 times. And they were all in the torso area.
Streeter and Rivera, they were actually in their neighborhood. They're actually, they're right down the street. They live down the street.
Yeah, they lived
From
right
where,
there.
where the
they
shooting
were,
happened?
right.
So I understood they were walking to the grocery store, so they were
Right.
just out, again,
Yes.
same thing, they just happened to be...
Very casual walk and-
Own neighborhood. He didn't go to a different neighborhood. He would shoot people in his own neighborhood.
Any other questions?
How many times Mr. Roberts was shot?
Mr. Roberts was shot twice, once in the chest and once in the head.
The chest and head.
Yes.
Explain that a little bit in terms of, again, I'm not familiar, like if I'm in the car and I'm going by, shooting more than once, I mean, that's initiative. I mean, that's somebody who really wants to do damage as opposed to just sort of driving by and just sort of firing randomly, right? I guess I'm just asking for a kind of, is that someone who was maybe intent on doing some real damage? I mean,
John, as far as I can say, it definitely shows intent. I mean, he was there with a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And Mr. Roberts, he's from that neighborhood. He was did a lot of maintenance work in the neighborhood for residents there, and he just happened to be an innocent bystander.
You might want to know how they were called to the vehicle.
Say that again?
How they were called to the vehicle.
Our vehicle?
No, Mr. Street,
Go ahead.
yeah, Shane Streeter and Justin Rivera were actually called to Mr. Peavy's vehicle.
What do you mean? Could you elaborate a little bit?
As they were walking down, I really don't want to take the sheriff's.
You know what?
case.
I didn't know that, so no one
Go
shared
ahead.
that with me.
Okay. As I understand it, Mr. Rivera and Mr. Streeter were walking along Avenue J. Mr. Peavy pulls up with his vehicle, rolls down the window, and calls him over to the vehicle. Mr. Streeter is the first one to approach the vehicle and unfortunately was shot and killed. He was called to the vehicle as far as we understand, but he never went to the vehicle.
So you were talking about Mr. Roberts, right?
Yeah,
The
this
second one.
second one,
The
yes.
second one,
So his MO is the same. He called the victims to his vehicle and then opened fire on them. In Mr. Roberts' case, he didn't approach the vehicle, but the other two did. And I do know that Rivera actually ran from the vehicle right after being shot because he heard the first shot, ran, and then he was shot in his torso.
And PV actually got out of the vehicle to take shots at Rivera.
There you go. So, John, you mentioned his intent. It appears that it was, he was very well motivated to kill 3 people yesterday.
Was there anything said? Did Mr. Rivera, was he able to talk to you guys and say he said something before? No.
Well, he was able to communicate with us, but there was no motive like a robbery. It was, hey, come here for a minute. When they approached the vehicle, the shots started.
Nothing, he just,
Not an attempted robbery, no apparent motive.
You shot his
Which
father
makes
once?
this all more senseless in nature. Angela, what was
Shot
it?
his father once?
Yes.
I mean,
Any idea when that happened with his father?
We assume it had to be before the first shooting on Boston Avenue.
Sunday morning, Saturday?
Sunday morning.
We're waiting for the MD.
Yeah.
I mean, had you guys ever been called over to that house before? Was there ever any domestic or?
There weren't domestics.
Well, yeah, we've had domestic calls.
Have we?
We've had some other.
You want to come up and share all that? Because I'm not, I know we've had some calls.
other activity.
Okay.
So you, I mean, you guys were familiar with the house, familiar with the characters involved? Okay.
Okay, that's it. Thank you. And make sure the message is one of calm to our community, that's for sure.
Thank you, Sheriff.
Thank you.